right, welcome back to Bending the Narrative. Today we are bringing back the segment Whispers of the White Lotus. This is a segment where we explore the deeper narratives and storylines of the Avatar universe. This episode plays with the idea of Aang learning firebending much sooner than he was supposed to. Alex, let's start with you. What do you think would have happened if Aang was able to learn firebending in season one and not in the order of the Avatar cycle that he does eventually learn it in?
See, this is tough because it's hard to imagine him going out of order because like the whole like this episode really hammers home that like he's not ready to do it, and so that's why he can't. I think
Mm-hmm.
it would have I mean, like, not that the Avatar isn't overpowered anyways, but like I feel like Aang being able to learn and like master firebending sooner would have made him way more difficult to deal with, like going forward. Like, because he already wipes the floor with pretty much everyone that he comes into contact with,
Yeah,
like,
with
anyways.
with
And he's
airbending.
yeah,
Mhm.
and he's just being like purely evasive. So if you give him the ability to master something that is then like purely offensive, except for, I mean, like we see it for defense sort of in this episode with John
Mhm.
just making the big wall. But like
Yeah.
if Aang then starts to use the mostly offensive nature of firebending, like in conjunction with his airbending, like no one's stopping him at all. Like it's just not even gonna be
Yeah.
close. Like I can't like. Can you imagine him and Zuko's fights? Like if he had been able to do firebending too, like
It's almost hard to even picture him firebending at all because he's so evasive. He doesn't like to attack.
yeah,
He and I think that is a big thing that he struggles with when he does eventually learn firebending is actually using it to attack somebody.
yeah.
He's so
It's just
against
not his
that.
thing. Yeah, and it also
Hmm.
like it. I wonder if it would have helped or hindered him with the other elements too. 'Cause it's like we were talking about
Mm.
before the break, in the way that the avatar is traditionally supposed to go through the avatar cycle and learning the elements, like one flows into the other. And so
Hmm.
like by skipping two or going out of order, I feel like that probably would have then impacted his ability to like comprehend and learn the other like waterbending and earthbending, because then he'd be trying to
Hmm.
do the techniques and stuff that he has from firebending, as opposed to
With
like
that.
yeah, as opposed to doing like taking them as he's supposed to, you know.
Yeah,
And
because a
so
lot of the waterbending movements work for firebending movements. Like I know Zuko takes a lot of inspiration from of like
mhm,
waterbending movements, and it works the
yeah.
same with fire almost sometimes. I've
Yeah.
seen like because like I remember, and this is way later. Like Iroh tells him to take inspiration from
Mhm.
the other elements to
Yeah.
use with fire, which I find interesting. So
Yeah,
like
so
I
it's
think
like
that's why it does work that way, and why
mhm,
to go from air
to
to
fire.
fire, it's and that's
You're
why
just making
I
a
think I
jump.
said earlier, I said something where I was like, I feel like fire is not, it's not the opposite of air, but for Aang, I feel like fire is the most opposite from
Yeah.
him
Well, it's
and his
because it's
personality.
like
Well, it's the last one.
yeah, exactly. It's the last one that
Yeah.
he's supposed to hit. So it's like it's the hardest thing for him to like grasp and wrap his mind around, because it's so different from what he's normally doing. Which like earthbending is also that, and the way that it's literally like structured, and how like you have earth and air being on the opposite ends, and then water and fire being
Mhm.
on the opposite ends. But like in a learning pattern, like it makes sense as to why that is the last one that he would go to master. And then it also, we see this in Korra when she's going from water to
Mm,
earth to fire and then air, and then she struggles the
air.
most with air, right?
I
um
do love that. That's such a good detail. And I like that that continues
yeah,
on with all of the seasons.
it's just
It's just interesting. I like it.
it yeah, it again, it hammers home like how well thought out the structure of all of them
Mm,
are, and like all
yes.
of the bent, like both the nature of the different bendings, like for the different elements, and then also the avatar cycle and how they structured that cycle, and like the relationship between the
Mhm.
like the bending and the elements and everything, and how they like interplay with each other, and like what would be difficult for one type of bending versus another, and like
Mhm.
how they then like relate. It's all super, yeah, it's so hard to
It's
like
the world
imagine them.
lore that just makes it, it seems like this whole universe is so much bigger than Aang, and that
Yeah.
there's so much more to it than just this story, which is
Hmm.
the most exciting part. Anyways, I'm getting off topic, but
No, yeah, and like the reason it's so difficult to think about him going out of order is because like the way that it is, you're like, well, yeah, this it makes sense. Like this is
that
how
he
it
has
is.
to do it that way.
Like you're
Yeah,
just like, oh
that's the
yeah.
way it is.
One thing I did think about though that would be much different if he was able to learn and master firebending here is that like there would be no reason for Zuko to join the gang.
Yeah.
Like there'd be a reason emotionally for Zuko to want to do that, but like they
Hmm.
would just be like, screw off.
Why?
Like we don't want
Screw
he's
off,
already
yeah.
like he can already firebend, bro. Like what are you go away? You've been trying to hunt us. Like we don't need you. Because like the whole
Yeah, the
reason he's
main
able
reason they need him, they're like, he's the only guy who could teach you.
yeah, they concede because they're like, well, he needs to learn firebending still, but like he could just be like and like throw fire at Zuko and be like, oh wait. Like
Yeah.
there's
He'd
no
be like, I'm
there's no
actually
need
a
for him.
pro right now. Yeah.
So like
And I
actually
wonder, like, with
it
Boom Boom
probably
Man,
yeah.
with him facing off against that, I wonder how that would have gone. Because is
But I
he?
mean
No, he hasn't learned it by then, has he?
no, because that's
No,
right
that's
before.
right before.
Because that's like as Zuko's trying to get to them and be like, "Hey guys, like here's this dude who's gonna kill you."
Zuko
Like,
here.
um,
So good.
but yeah, no. So like it probably would make it to where they don't like get peace at the end because like Zuko then also coming and joining the gang, and then like by the time he
Yeah.
defeats Ozai, like and then Zuko's able to take over the Fire Nation and like a respectful and like bring them back to the
Hmm.
way they're supposed to be. Like you would probably lose that if Aang learns firebending here. Like
Yeah,
it
you're
would
right.
be
Like the whole
actually
world and story would be off balance even. Like,
yeah, it would just
I wonder
fall
what would
apart
have
if
happened.
Aang was impatient and learned it here. So then you
Yeah.
just like screw things up for way later down the line because
I
it
wonder
tells Zuko to.
if he could have joined another way though.
I mean, like
Mm.
that's one of those things where you think about it. It was like him joining is something that like has to happen, which like it obviously like does for the way that the
Hmm.
story ends up like working out. But like if it would have found
Yeah.
a way to like work itself out to where he does still end up with them and like
Well, I mean,
how
he
that would
sure
go,
could. I mean, he's like, I'm the son of the Fire Nation. Like,
like I'll try to help.
I know it
Yeah,
inside and out, literally. Let
yeah,
me, I can help you out.
yeah, which would
Like they,
probably work.
Sokka would have been like, oh, that would have been a good advantage in battle, kind of thing.
Yeah. But yeah,
I
like the
wonder.
primary reason though, they'd be like, "Hey, we already got it. Like we don't need
Yeah,
your help
that is so
actually."
wild that just something here all the way this early
Hmm.
affects something all the way at the end. Oh, this is
It's a good show. If
it's
you guys
the
didn't know,
guys. If you didn't know, this show is well written and it's
they really
well thought out.
thought this through. It's pretty
I
crazy.
think they were thinking about this.
Yeah,
They thought about this show.
but again, it's just like planting those seeds like super early on and getting that like tease and being like, no, he's not ready to learn that now, and like these are the
Hmm.
reasons he's not ready to learn that now, and like there's a reason that you'll see later on why like he does need to learn it then as opposed to now, and it's
Hmm.
so
And
he
even like
learns it after he's
Zuko
learned.
needs to learn it differently. Because
Yeah, because he
like they
takes
need
his
to learn it
teach
from
like
each
what
other.
he's like yeah like what he has learned over the course of the next of book one and book two and into book three impacts the way that he teaches Aang in book three. Like he doesn't
Hmm.
like Zuko in book one would have been a terrible teacher for Aang in
Yeah.
book one. Like there's no, or even like it just wouldn't work. Like they both need that growth on the way to
Hmm.
then whenever they do finally like interact and Zuko joins them. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it's such a good
It's yeah,
show.
it's such a good show. You're like you can't change anything.
Yeah, it just
Yet
like
the
it's
live
kind of fun to
action
think
did.
about, but yeah, like you just
I'm going
you
back to that. I'm rehashing again.
can't change anything, and then you remember that some people thought that they could actually,
That
and then
they
you're like,
could do that. Hmm.
yike, yike.
Yikes.
There's a couple of things you can add. The 41st, that's there, right? That
41st
was good.
Division, yeah. That was a good
You're
addition.
good. You're good.
Sure. I feel like
But see,
that was something though that
that's
was
not
in the
see, but
writer's
again,
pockets.
that's not changing anything. That's adding things. There's a difference, and I just, anyways, we've talked about that so many times.
We
We don't
hashed that
need
a million times.
yeah, but I mean I think that
If
at the
Aang
end of the
learned
day,
firebending. Hmm. Would
yeah,
he
it's
have
a good
used
it
it against the Fire Nation in the Siege of the North? Do you think
probably that
how would
also
that have worked while being in the North Pole, I wonder?
probably not in a beneficial way because like everything there
Mm.
would just start melting.
Yeah. Which
Like
is
they
the
don't
opposite of what he wants to do. Do you think he would have fought Zuko? I wonder if been able to I mean he still is able to take out a lot of the ships, but the majority of it was the reason that battle didn't go is because there was just so many of the ships to take out. It
yeah,
had nothing to do with his skill
yeah.
as a
So I mean it's
bender.
not like yeah, I don't think that much would have changed there necessarily.
Hmm. I'm
His
trying to think of like
1v1s, which he
battles that he
already
does
like
have.
automatically like claps him. I mean, I guess he would have been more well equipped to face Azula in the end
Mm.
of book 2, right? That's when that happens. Yeah, because then book
Mm-hmm.
book 3 is when he has his hair for a second after
Is
he's
this the
been
hair?
well, he
Yeah.
does, but
Oh, I'm so
yeah, I mean,
excited for that episode.
I guess he would have been more well equipped to face her like at that point in time,
Hmm.
arguably. But even then, still, she's like literally a prodigy. So
She can
like,
sweep the floor with anyone, no matter.
yeah.
She sweeps the floor with
The only reason
well-trained
the only
firebenders.
reason she loses is because she defeats herself in the end. And oh my god, I'm gonna have so much to talk about
We're
when we eventually get there.
I
Like
know.
we can't get
We
into
can't
that
even
right
open
now.
that. We can't even
But yeah,
open
we can.
that.
Um, yeah. So I mean, again, I think the the show like it pans out the way that it has to because they structured it very well.
Very
Good
well. And it
job.
all makes sense. Good job, guys. You did it. Like, I do
Yeah.
love that the theme in the show is harmony and balance, and that even the
Hmm.
story reflects that. Like, it has
Yeah.
to go this way. You can't go out of order.
Yeah.
You'll lose the balance. You have to be patient. And Aang has to learn this patience. And
Hmm.
it is a good way to be like, hey, readers, they can't just skip this. Like, because you know, sometimes you're watching something, you're like, why can't he just do this? And I
Yeah.
do like that they have these episodes. They're like, guys, he can't just
Well,
do
this
this
is
right
why.
away.
Yeah.
Like,
Like there's a
yeah,
very big and real reason for why.
which is such a great writer thing to do. Because I know you like if you're writing something, you're like, okay, what are the ways you can get around this that I'm not pointing out right now? What are
Hmm.
all the other pathways this can go, and why does it have to go this way?
Yeah, making it very
I
like
guess what's the
foolproof
word?
as into like
Yeah,
this is the way that it has like there's a reason it's this way and it's these reasons and like if you try to do it a different way it messes everything up and
yeah.
here's why and you could very like clearly see that, which is good. It's good stuff.
Hey, Aspect listener, enjoying the show?
Then be sure to subscribe here on The Aspect so you never miss an episode.
And check out more episodes and clips on our playlist here.
Thanks so much for watching and
Lamio Hotman.